understand what it is to communicate with the beings of light that guide us, because it's a learning curve on how to work our way through these dimensions of existence that we as humans do have the potential to access, particularly when we have refined ourselves to be subtle enough to hear them, and then we have gained the wisdom and experience to be able to understand what we're hearing and how to interpret it. And it takes a lot of practice, and it all goes hand in hand with the practices of yoga and meditation and how our lifestyle is working, as far as, are we living a lifestyle that relates to the beings we're trying to connect with? Because the way we're living is what we connect with. When we are living a life that aspires towards divinity, aspires towards sainthood, we attract those beings to help us. But not through the Ouija board, not through psychic channeling, but through attunement to the divine, through our heart. How do we attract them? They are attracted to us because they can see our light and how brightly it is shining. The light of not our fame and fortune, but the light of our heart, the light of our intention. And our light shines so bright that we pull them to us. We pull the teachers to us. We pull the gurus to us. We pull the truth out of everyone in our lives. We pull the messages of God out of people because of who we are. We make them great because of our devotion and our love. That's why they say it's harder to find a good student than a good guru. Because the student is the teacher, but the student has to have the power of devotion to pull the messages of the divine out of them for the benefit of that student. So we are students of the light. We are in training, and it requires us to make some big changes in our life, if we haven't already, that we are in service to the light and we live our lives accordingly if we want to communicate with our spirit guides, and we don't want to just play games with ourselves that we're connecting to something when it's really just lower astral energies, and it's not that hard of a thing to do, and it actually can cause a lot more trouble for us than anything. But when we are open to the divine and we have surrendered ourselves and we have done the work on ourselves to embrace all that we are and accept what we see about our shadow, because as we become the light worker, you know what happens. With that light comes pain. Because light can hurt, because light can show us things that are really hard to see about ourselves and others. And it's really hard sometimes to think one way about ourselves and be afraid to accept something else that might be true. And so unless we can find a way to be all accepting of ourselves and all compassionate of ourselves, we're going to shun the light, which limits our ability to be a light worker. But when we are open to all there is about ourselves and all there is about everyone else too, and we love and accept it all as the divine, then we have the capacity to really embody a greater flow of that light, making our light shine brighter, attracting the spirit guides to us, uplifting us, working through us, speaking through us, healing through us. This is how it works. We become emanations of that divinity, of those beings that have always been there with us, that have always waited for us to hear them, to feel their love shining down on us. All it really takes is for us to do the work to remove those veils, to get rid of the shrouds we live under. And why do we live under those shrouds? Because there's a deep fear in us that maybe we aren't enough because of things we've accepted to be true that weren't about ourselves, of things that were too painful to feel about ourselves. And so we kept shutting ourselves down and disowning those parts that we bought into until we became this little sliver of light because we've shut so much of ourselves down. And that little sliver still feels the love, but that little sliver of light needs to do the work so that we can have a greater capacity of compassion for ourselves, and so we can be open to seeing these things about ourselves that might be hard to accept. However, once we do, that changes everything, and we're able to do what it takes to be bigger and keep expanding that light and pulling down the light. And really, for once in our life, not feeling alone and not feeling understood. Because without any words at all, your spirit guides know you. They understand you. You don't have to explain or defend or interpret or anything. You are just one with that light. That's what we all look for when we look for someone to serve as a spiritual teacher. Our biggest hope is that we can finally find someone who sees us and understands us without us having to say anything or do something special or put on a show or wear the mask, but that we could just be open and let it all hang out, and that we could just be okay doing that. And it's really hard to find a human relationship where that's really the case, where love isn't conditional. But that unconditional love that we all look for can be found right here and right now. When you make the sankalpa, the intention, I will dedicate my life to knowing myself completely, because knowing myself completely means knowing God. And I will know every part of myself, however painful that is, however weak and frail I have to accept that I have felt, all the horrible things that have happened to me, all the ways I can't find resolution with other people who have hurt me, all of it. I will be open to that as being done for me so that I can see who I'm not, so that I can find who I am, which is everything, which is all the love in the universe, which is total trust in the divine, that it was all for you. Everything I said to Kali, everything is for you. And then she said immediately back to me, because she is the mirror, everything is for you. And instantly I realized that all the grief, all the suffering was all for my benefit. And I could love it all. I could just let go, even though I don't understand everything, even though we still may have that pain that we don't know what to do with, we can't process. It keeps coming back and recycling up. Oh, here it is again. We can just be okay with it. We can let her take care of it. We can be in trust. This is why Jesus said, you must become a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. And how do we become like a child? How do we realize that we are the child of the Divine Mother? It is through simplicity. It is through dropping our mind. And how do we drop our mind? We train our mind. We practice concentration. And then concentration turns into meditation. Concentration simply means focus on your third eye. Pay attention to your breath on the inhalation and the exhalation. When you inhale, you can say a mantra like Om. And when you exhale, you can say Ma. And so you focus on the third eye, doing the Ujjayi breathing where you make an ocean sound with your breath on the inhale, and on the exhale, long, slow, deeply breathing. Inhaling Om, exhaling Ma, and you concentrate. And you keep your eye here on the third eye. And this is how, like Jesus said, when your eye is single, your whole body will be filled with light. This is the answer. This is as easy as it is to be a light worker. To be your own light worker, to be a light worker for all your ancestors who couldn't do it, to be a light worker for all the suffering and pain, all the suffering and pain in this world, is that you simply have to become filled with light, more light. So while we learn about how to connect and what that world is, when we experiment with things like channeling or Ouija boards, which I wouldn't recommend, but I'm sure we've already probably all done that. We move and take a notch up. We go, I'm going to live in a way that makes me clear, because this world will suggest that you live in a way that is very cluttered, that you need a lot, that you need to keep consuming a lot, that you need to be very distracted so that you don't have to feel your pain. And if you do, you need to go down and get some medication for it, or find a way to medicate yourself on your own with food or drugs or alcohol. And this is not a judgment. This is, you do it because your heart is hurting, because you do not accept yourself. You do it because you don't want to feel the pain of separation anymore. And the first step toward not feeling the pain of separation is not separating yourself from yourself. And it is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight, how we start learning to love ourselves. But every little action that we do, every little step that we take to say, I am worth it. I will prepare my food because I am worth it. I will make my bed when I get up in the morning because I am a queen or a king. I will keep my house beautiful because I deserve that. I will put flowers in my house. I will put a picture up of a god or a goddess or a saint, or a beautiful picture of myself or my mother or my father or whoever reminds me of God's grace. And I will pay reverence to that every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed. And I will pray to the mother light within me, or Jesus or Buddha or whoever. And I will keep pulling that light to myself, that light in me that is connected to that great light. And that channel will widen and widen and widen until pretty soon you are the living light. That is a light worker. And the worker part is that our life is in service. Karma literally means action. Our action is the action of light. We are here to do karma, to do light. And as we do the work of light, all the negative past, all the account that we owe, the big payments we've got to make to the past of whatever misunderstandings we've had, gets washed away. And we realize we aren't that person. We didn't do bad things. We now know who we really are, which is a light worker. And it is our dedication to the divine that we have this precious life, and that we will do what it takes to become what we were born to become. Because you wouldn't be watching this unless there was some truth for you to hear. You wouldn't be magnetized, you wouldn't be connected by karma, by dharma, to this video if you weren't supposed to hear my words reminding you of who you actually are. And this world pulls you down, and this world is heavy, and the harder your life, the reason, the more powerful you are. How much you've overcome, I don't care what it looks like to those people out there. How much you've overcome is how powerful you are. And you know that, and those beings that you are going to connect to, or that you are connecting to, know that. And miracles happen. And it's not a mistake that you don't fit in and buy in to the uselessness, the useless pursuits of this world. Lift yourself up off of whatever place you think you've fallen. Lift yourself from that place over and over and over again. And come back to your heart and pray, and don't stop praying. Don't stop appreciating who you are, because everything that's happened has made you who you are. And now all we need to do is tie up a few loose ends, and things start falling together for us. Things will start coming together. You know why? Because you put the work in and you've come this far, and it is inevitable. And so there are a gradient of light workers. Reach for the top. Be sublime. Be all that you can be, because all these yogic powers are only given and bestowed upon you to benefit other beings. And for us to live in fear, imagining that we're this little thing that we can't really see out of this place, but we're shrouded in darkness, and when we close our eyes it's dark, and we don't know who we are, and we don't know why we're here, and we're going to die, and we don't know where we're going. We don't have to live like that. Jesus said to die daily, and he meant it through meditation, and he meant it through connecting to the divine every day through Samadhi. And when you connect to the divine through Samadhi, you are tuned into all of the beings of light. And what happens when you are in Samadhi is that you are mixing your light with their light for however long you're in that state, so that when you open your eyes, and go back to your life and start looking out into this world, you're seeing it through the eyes of the divine. You're acting with the heart of the divine because you plugged in, basically. You plug into the divine. So it's concentration, it's devotion, it's meditation. And meditation is practicing union with the divine. What it really is getting to know yourself. What it really is being present with who you are, which is divine. And no, it's not easy because the mind is irritated. The mind is annoyed. The mind is distracted. The mind wants to lure you out. Find a way to sit back and watch your mind do that. It's all it knows. You are not your thoughts. But you'll get really antsy and agitated and you won't be able to concentrate. But look at it as a challenge of concentration. Concentrate on a flame. And don't think anything. Just concentrate on the flame. All your awareness goes to the flame. You are the flame. The flame is in your heart. The flame is in your third eye. You are the living light of God. That is what a light worker is. And when you're able to access and plug in and connect with the beings and the guides, your power to do good and to help others to do good manifests more and more and more. This is what life is for. And you have everything you need to make it happen.